You're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson, episode 138. Hey there, you're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast. My name is Angela Henderson, and on this show, we talk about improving your business, life, or both by having amazing and rich conversations with brilliant guests who will inspire you and who will give you tips and tricks to help you grow both in life and in business. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another awesome episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ange, from Angela Henderson Consulting, where I'm an international award-winning business consultant and coach who has helped thousands of amazing women business owners to get all the pieces in place to have consistent 5-figure months and then on to 6- and 7-figure years without burning out in the process. Often, oh so often, we only see stories of success. As you scroll and scroll through the internet and see the Facebook stuff, it can get a little daunting. But if you follow me for long enough, you know I'm all about showing you behind the scenes, because business isn't easy when you're just starting out, but equally business can be hard as fuck when you're going through a growth and scale phase. Not always, but it does creep in. And today I wanted to bring on the amazing Ekta from Great Creates, who has worked with me over the last year in my mastermind, who's going to share with you what it was like hitting rock bottom over the last 12 months and how she needed to adapt, look for opportunity, and now is back to making 5-figure months. That's right, 5-figure months, when she lost everything when COVID hit. Today, we're all going to be talking about creating the comeback and sharing with you behind the scenes of a business owner, but also giving you an understanding of what it was like for her to work with me in the role of a business consultant. But before we hop on to this amazing episode, I'd like to let you know that this episode is sponsored by my VIP Intensive Days for Women in Business. So what is a VIP Intensive Day, you say? Think 6 months of business coaching, power-packed one day, designed specifically for women in business who are looking for an intensive experience that will accelerate their business both personally and professionally. Clients who engage in VIP intensives with me make changes in their business that might have otherwise taken months or years, or wouldn't have even happened. That's the beauty of a VIP intensive, super powerful, and will allow you to move faster towards those goals. In addition, a VIP intensive allows you to step aside from the day-to-day running of your business, aka working in your business, to allowing you a full day or half day of working with me as an international award-winning business consultant to bring you clarity and focus on the growth of your business. There's no cookie cutter approach for VIPs. We work on things like business planning, creating your marketing plan, developing multiple streams of income, working on your messaging, developing your visibility online, creating products or launch strategies, etc. So if you're wanting to accelerate your business growth, then head to my website, angelahenderson.com.au, and click on the Work With Me button to book in a discovery call so we can ensure a VIP intensive day is what you need. Now, let's get into this awesome episode. Welcome to the show, Ekta. I'm super, super pumped to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Angela. This is such an exciting opportunity. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Yes, I am. So, like I said, I'm always excited about guests, but, a little over a year ago, I found you on Facebook.
Yes.
People beg Facebook out for organic reach, but I'm here to tell you, and I know you'll talk about this a little bit more later on, is a lot of your core business in making this comeback has come from organic Facebook outreach. And that's exactly how I found you. I was looking for a company that created promotional products because I run Australia's leading women in business retreat, and I needed promotional t-shirts printed for this event. So not only did you have the best selection of promotional products that I've seen to date here in Australia, but you took my idea, you created my t-shirts with the help of my graphic designer for the event, and then I got this thing, you were adamant. You're like, I just want to drop them off at your house. And I was like, okay, who is this lady? Like, who does home delivery? And I was like, okay. I was like, but I only have this time space because of my clients and my kids' activities. And you're like, yep, no worry, I'll be there. And so naturally, I am a bit of a hugger. Yeah. So I gave you a hug. We chatted, we connected, and then fast forward, and you've been in my mastermind, the Action Takers Mastermind now for the last year. So really, thank you, Facebook, but also the power of connection.
100%. When you see, I'm a strong believer of when you put something out in the universe, it actually conspires to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And I am constantly putting out in the universe that I need to work with and be surrounded by fantastic people. Mm-hmm. You're right that my growth I would attribute over 90% of my growth to Facebook. It started out as me putting my hand up in various business groups for opportunities that came by. And then once I had a bit of a presence, I'm at a stage now, at a very privileged stage now where people recommend me. So I don't have to put my hand up that actively. I get tagged in a lot. Oh, you need to speak to Ekta from Great Creates if you require this particular product. I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, I responded to your call looking for t-shirts for your fabulous business retreat. I gave you some photographs of some of my previous work, left you with my email, and you connected with me and asked me all these questions, which I actually really value. I love clients who ask questions because it means that we can share the same passion, and I can actually look at their vision from their point of view and deliver. So yeah, one thing led to another. I did your shirts, came to meet you, and you had me at that first meeting. So I had to work with you.
I mean, and the power of this is the thing is when you don't just treat people as a transaction and you treat people like human beings, there is this essence of, like, again, emotion. You get, again, when you hug people, you leave digital imprints on both parties, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just an amazing experience from start to finish, looking for promotional products. You, like I said, by far are one of the top here in Australia, if not the top. And so it was great. And now this all sounds hunky-dory. This all sounds very vibrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's just say things, you came onto the mastermind, we had certain things we were working on, and then things started to take a bit of a slide due to COVID. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show today to share with the audience what it looks like to create a comeback after the year that was.
Yeah.
But before we start on that, I always like to ask a fun question to those guests that are coming on so that my audience gets an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more than just the business side of things. So my favorite question to you is what is your all-time favorite holiday that you love celebrating every single year?
Oh, my all-time favorite holiday. It's not a holiday, but I love to celebrate my children's birthdays. I just love it. I've got two gorgeous boys. One's 12, the other's 6. And I always throw in this element of, having a theme party. And I have created decorations with my own hands since my firstborn had his first birthday. And I like to make handmade gifts for the guests and things like that. So I believe that was sort of the seed of creating Great Creates eventually. But no, it takes me 6 months to plan my kids' birthdays. And I do everything from scratch. It's crazy. But I really enjoy it.
You were sharing in the mastermind, you had like a magician theme. I think it was,
That's right. This year I had a magic, because my kids are 6 years and 2 weeks apart. So I booked in a magician, and, Netflix was all about the magic shows, etc. for the kids this year during COVID. And they've really both taken a liking to it. So we had the magician come in, and his name's Awesome Andy. He was really awesome. And the highlight of the event was both of them got to levitate.
Oh, very cool. Dun.
Exactly. So I got a lot of brownie points for that one.
Dude, now fun. So again, birthdays are your all-time favorite, holiday and celebration of the year, which is fantastic. I love a good birthday. I love a good theme too, so I can appreciate that 100%.
Yeah.
And now that we've got the favorite holiday out of the way, just so we can kind of lay the foundations here, tell the businesses that are listening out there, where did you start? Because you haven't always been in business. So where did you start and where you are today?
So my background is actually dietetics. I've been a dietitian for 20 plus years. I graduated with my degree in India, migrated to Australia after getting married, did my master's and PhD here. And then from there, I went into research and a few academic roles. In my last role, I was at a tertiary university in Queensland and was the clinical lead for the master's program. And it was all looking really good from the outset. People would think, oh yeah, she's got it all. She's got a great job. She's having fun doing her job and got this beautiful family and things like that. But within, something was amiss. And what that was literally, I was finding that I was getting too comfortable, and I don't enjoy being comfortable. I really I feel stifled when I'm too comfortable. So I was getting to that point, and I found that my life was really predictable, like as predictable, I don't know, as sunrise, or I don't know, getting junk mail in your inbox. It was it was just really predictable, and I just wasn't happy within. 10 years ago, I had this little idea of doing something creative for professionals, such as dietitians, and my husband's an accountant, so accountants. And it just started with a conversation that we come from serious professions, yet we're not serious people. We enjoy good humor, and there's nothing in the market out there for professionals. So, if you want to go looking for a teacher's gift, world's best teacher, like seriously, how many mugs have you seen in the market? There's really nothing more to it. So 10 years ago, I was still in the middle of my PhD. My husband was studying for some accounting exams. I had a 2-year-old. It just wasn't the right time. But 2 years ago, well, in 2018, March 2018, I was at a leadership conference, and one of the presenters there was Dean Merlo of Merlo Coffee. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how he built Merlo Coffee from scratch. And I felt in that audience of over 100 people, he was only talking to me. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me, hey, you got this idea, you got to give it a shot, otherwise you'd never know. And I'd forgotten all about that idea. It had sort of simmered on, but I wasn't really doing it seriously. Friday afternoon, after the conference, came home to my husband. I said, hey, you remember that idea we'd had like a decade ago? He said, yes. I said, I'm going to start with it. Are you with me or are you not? And he goes, oh my God, well, how are we going to do it? I said, I don't know. We've got the weekend to figure it out. And we did. And so that's where I started, really. It was just a creative outlet and to do something new so that I wasn't doing the daily grind. That's where I started with Great Creates. And trust me, I've pivoted twice since, just in response to what my clients were asking of me. So, yeah.
I love the story. And I think it's also important to understand the elements of having a creative outlet, regardless of its business or if it isn't, is that so often we get stuck in that day-to-day grind over and over. We drive to the office, we get in and out of our car. And, so many times, I don't know about you, but I arrive at my office, I'm like, how did I get here? Because it's autopilot, literally. Yeah. You're like, okay, this can't be good, And that there are other things. And I say often to women is you can be an equally successful mother and you can be an equally successful woman in business. Yep. And for many years, I also was an equally awesome mental health clinician while doing those things too. You can have it all. You can have diversity and you can bring fun back into it. And it doesn't have to be the day-to-day grind. So I love that you were looking for that creative outlet, because I think also as mothers, we get lost and we lose our creative outlets because of also, school pickup, school drop off, lunches. You mix that with the rest of the day-to-day grind. And, women struggle with who they are and their identity and where do they belong. So you looking for that and looking to actively change that. I think that's a big important thing is you took the reins, right? And you said, I've got to make something happen.
Obviously, because if you're not happy, it does translate. It does come out. So it'll come out in your work. Your workplace environment will come out in your own, like if you're not happy within, surely you can't be exuding happiness outside. There's, people will tell that something's amiss here. Mm-hmm. So before it goes,
And often I say that is your external world is a direct reflection of your internal world.
100%.
And normally there's shit that isn't resolved, right? And again, we've talked a lot about that in the mastermind this year. Again, and so look at what's happening in your external world, because if you're not happy, there's something deep inside that you're going to have to change. And again, the only person who can change that is you, right? So
absolutely.
And that's what you did with this. Now, with Great Creates, though, is to kind of lay the scene of where we're going with this podcast and creating a comeback like you have over the last year. I'd like to start, though, with you telling the listeners a little bit about how you decided to work with me. How did you hear about me? And what were some of the challenges you were facing at that time before you hired me as a coach? Because what you hired me as a consultant and coach to do originally, obviously, we're going to talk about how that had to change very quickly.
Yeah.
And how, again, you've made the comeback from adapting and changing. So start off with, what made you decide to work with me?
It was that meeting at your house, Angela. I am so glad I insisted to come in and see you. Look, if I've got clients in Brisbane and surrounds, I do like to do a delivery personally. And that's just because my clients are not just my business. They are people and, we're human beings. And it's good to be connected with people as opposed to just, meeting them as and when they need you or when you need them. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad that I pushed myself through your door and came to meet you. I did look you up. as I was working on that order, and I knew a little bit about what you were doing and who you were about. But I think when I came to meet you, I was at this pivotal junction in my business where I was shifting. So what started as the original idea of doing fun merchandise for professionals no longer existed. I was actually, in response to the opportunities that were coming my way, I was actually moving towards supporting small businesses with their requirements for promotional products. And it was I'd still only been about 18 months in my business, but 2019 was something else. The opportunities that I had that time kept me so busy working in the business that I actually did not have the opportunity to work on it. I wasn't even thinking that far. It was, what do I need to do today? I need to get these orders out today. How do I do it? When I came to see you, so internally, I knew I needed a new website to reflect this direction, and I needed strategy because what I was doing was not long-term sustainable. I couldn't just wait for clients to come through the door. I also needed to go looking for the right clients. And I just wasn't finding the time to do that. So when I met you, I don't know who you'd been talking to, but you knew exactly what I needed. You said to me, so, what are you doing about your website? Because you need a new website. I was like, oh my God, how does she know that? And we spoke a little bit more. You spoke to me about SEOs and how SEOs can be useful. And for that, of course, I need a new website. You were generous to share a few people within your network who could help me with that. And it was a 40-minute drive to your house and then another 40 minutes back. While coming to your place, I was listening to music. On my way back, I just needed my quiet time to work out how in the world do I work with you. I just knew I had to make it happen. A couple of months later, you did your strategy session. You advertised your strategy session, which I logged on to. I registered for it, and good for me. I think you capped it at about 5 or 6 women. There was just this other lady in the strategy session, so I felt like I had your one-on-one attention. I loved that session, and I loved your approach with regards to so what are your 2 or 3 big goals for 2020? And then breaking those goals down into doable steps on a monthly and then a weekly basis and then on a per day basis. I just loved that. But the first question, I got stuck on that. You see, as I said before, I was so busy working in the business, I hadn't had the time to think about my business. So when you said, what's your top goal for 2020? I was blank as a canvas. And I was really embarrassed by that and really worried that how come I don't have a goal for 2020? But you sort of picked up on that and you spoke to me through it and made me feel very comfortable. And really, when we started engaging in conversation, I had thought about my word for 2020, which was visibility. And somehow you picked up on that theme and it came up again and again in our conversation. And visibility it was. And the top goal for 2020 for me was to get a legit website. And, that sort of sealed the deal for me. And then you advertised your first mastermind. I did not even think twice before I put in my application form for it. I was over the moon before the year end when you said, yep, I have you on in my introductory mastermind and it's good to work with you. So I was looking forward to that, not knowing what 2020 was going to bring with it.
Right. And so again, you had it in your mind when you signed up. You're like, yep, I've got money coming in. I've got enough to afford the mastermind. We're good to go. If I could keep on, at the amount of sales that are coming in every month, this should be my trajectory for 2021 and we should be good. But then, things happened. COVID hit. And what we were working on, we had to start looking at because there was a freak out there when I was like, okay, Edka's starting to freak out here. We've got COVID. And we went from, and rightfully so, the freak out was a valid freak out because you went from having beautiful months of income to now, going, like you literally went down to 0 sales, right? And you also had to refund people back because their events and stuff had been canceled. So I'd like to share with your audience what happened to your business when COVID hit. And also, what was your mindset? Because I'm a very big believer that it's not just about strategy, that mindset weaves its way in, right? And is just as important in there. So share with us what happened once you got into that mastermind with COVID.
So February, I think we started in Feb 2020 with the mastermind. Everything was going great. Beautiful. I had these big plans. I had this big vision and everything was going well. And then March, COVID hit and the world collapsed. and so did my business. I was literally 24 hours away from locking in a 30 or 35,000 corporate deal with a client. And that stopped, I couldn't even contact them and say, hey, what happened about that deal? Because, at that point, nobody in the world knew what to expect. Mm-hmm. Then, as you rightly pointed out, there was this one day when I had to refund a lot of money for events that had been canceled. And that was not a good day, because that was money sitting in my bank, which I then, out of the right thing to do, I had to give back to people because those events were canceled. And then I was like, oh my God, do I have to twiddle my thumbs here? Like, how am I going to make a living with Great Creates? How am I going to do this? But the good thing was that being part of that mastermind, there were at least half a dozen women on there who were experiencing exactly the same thing as me. Mm-hmm. So it was really good for me to see that I'm not in this alone and I'm not the only one that the universe has chosen to do this to. Mm-hmm. Everyone is struggling in some shape or form. So I think for me, that was a really good support thing to happen because, the other women as well represented different industries but they were just experiencing the exact same pain points as I was. Mm-hmm. So that was a really good support system. And then it came down to, okay, so this is not going away. We don't know what's going to happen. The world's shutting down. What my suppliers have closed down. They've locked up their factories and have gone home. Where do I source my products from? And nobody's requiring products. The one thing that I did know, or the story that I told myself at the time was that this is going to go away at some point. And when it goes away, I cannot find myself in the same spot as I am today. Whether it takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, 25 years, I can't not be doing what I need to do this year. I signed up on this mastermind and I signed up to build a website. I need to get on with it. I can't find myself in the same spot. So I was determined not to do that. But because everything was unraveling so quickly, self-doubt crept in. And that's when I found your support really useful. Just to, even though I knew it in my heart, I think it was the loud voice, which can sometimes misdirect you. Somehow I gave more power to that voice in telling me this is not worth it. At one point I was looking for jobs, really. But it was you who sort of said, Ekta, I know you're going to be successful. I know you're going to be great. Don't throw the towel on your dreams. So just having that from you and having that conviction, it wasn't a rah-rah thing. It wasn't something that you were doing to stroke my back. You actually believed it. Mm-hmm. And, that really did help me a lot. And for that, I'm going to be very thankful eternally.
Yes. And one of the things that you mentioned there was, there was a time in our mastermind when we were talking about, Edka, what are the pros about you getting a job? It's not a long-term thing. And I think that's really important to acknowledge because so many people are told, quit your 9 to 5 and jump head in. Yeah. And sometimes you have to put fucking pride aside and you may have to go back and get a job. It is not a forever thing. It is a stepping stone. And you were looking at applying, I think you may have even applied for a couple of jobs and we knew that if it came great, it was only going to be a 6-month contract. Yeah. Where you were like, I'm even prepared to go stock shelves at Woolworths, a grocery store here in Australia. Yeah. We didn't care because what we cared more was we knew that the business was sustainable before COVID and we knew that COVID was going to go away. So we knew we needed a plan about what do we do now to work on the growth of the business. So when COVID goes away, we are stronger than ever before. But don't underestimate the power of having to potentially get another job. Getting another job puts less stress on your family, puts stress on your body, puts less stress on your immune system. It allows you to, put back into your business for growth versus you having to do everything yourself. So for those of you that are listening out there, know that it might be an option. It might be something that you need to do for a short term to get you along further in the business game. Don't let pride and ego stand in the way of that. And then, Edka, so we knew. So what I liked was I'm very much a non-bullshit person. And I will say if your business isn't going to be sustainable, but I knew I'd seen the growth that had already happened. So I was like, listen, we got to find a way. And so you made a stance though. And I think that was important that even though I was telling you and I was there supporting you, is you had to come to that decision and believe that, you were going to be there standing after COVID hit, And so you made the active decision. You knew you were in it for the long haul. You then were like, listen, I need to take action. And one of the things that I loved about you is that you were looking for opportunity to ensure that you survived. Can you share with the audience a little bit about how we adapted and what we decided to then focus on during that stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, small business owners, I think whatever the government stimulation grants were, they came out really late. Everyone else was ahead of us, and rightfully so. So at one point, I didn't even know if the government would send something out to small business owners. But they did. But by that time, I had decided that I'm going to get a loan. History is the best predictor of the future. So I knew 2019 without a legit website was pretty good. I was really happy with it. So with a legit website, why wouldn't, whenever, the clouds lifted, why wouldn't my life be any better in business? So I reached out for a loan based on our history. The bank gave us a loan, and that funded my website. So that was one crucial decision that I made. The other decision that I made was that I'm just going to soldier on, and I'm going to do everything that I can do to honor my promise to you and to myself, which was to get a website built. And you put me through to the right people. I had a fabulous web developer who worked with me, who understood the core elements of my business. And there was a point when I said to him, hey, I think you understand my business better than I do. and he worked with me so well, and he was all heart into it. And we worked we worked really closely in developing this website, which was not from my point of view, but which was from the consumer's point of view. So if I had potential customers coming to my website, how do I make it a seamless experience from them? So I had my web developer who obviously does this for a living and is the expert. I had some insights of my own, but then I also had you to give your insight and to share your experience with what is a user-friendly website, to review it time and again for me, to give feedback, to talk to the web developer again and again, and bring it all in cohesion and help me get to where I needed to be.
And I think, though, it's important because people are like, a website, whoop-de-doo. Is that what you helped her with, right? Like anyone can go get a website. But I'm here to tell you there are certain elements that help. There is a website, and then there is a conversional website, right?
Yeah.
And it is one of the core foundational elements I believe every damn business owner needs. And I'm going to tell you why even more, because at time of recording, we know that Facebook and Apple are now at a huge fight with each other. Why? Because late February, early March, Apple is releasing the new, updated iPhone. And with that is going to be a prompt for every single person to have to give access and allow Facebook to use the data from those phones for retargeting purposes, etc. It is going to impact small business significantly. I cannot emphasize enough, significantly. And so I say this because a good website converts people, but a good website is working for you 24 hours a day, which reduces you having to market in multiple places. So not only did we make sure that your website was user-friendly and conversional, we needed to make sure that we understood your SEO, so search engine optimization keywords. We needed to make sure we understood your on-site SEO. We need to make sure we understood your off-site SEO. And this is more important than ever before, because what's going to happen is Facebook is not going to be delivering the same results as they had in the past because of the stance that Apple has taken. Like it or lump it. So for you, Ekta, we've positioned you in a very great position, not even knowing that information, because we know from your data that people are finding you organically. And when people find you organically, they are already 30% closer to the finish line in converting the sale. So for those of you out there that might be thinking, oh, great, you helped her with the website, Ange. No, there's so much strategy that goes into these websites based on individual business, individual personality, and also consumer buying journey. So it was so important that during this downtime with COVID, when you were hitting no sales, you'd just taken a loan out, that we were setting the foundations in place to put you, in the next tier, that top tier, to make sure you were hitting, from a place of abundance, but from a place of longevity and creating that business for life, and not just short-term wins and quick fixes when COVID was, it's not gone. It's still around. Not so much in Australia. We're very fortunate. So, you literally went from zero sales due to COVID, literally, having to be refunded, to now you're back to hitting over, do you know what I mean? Anywhere from, 10, 20 plus K months, my friend, which is, I know you had your biggest month ever at November, in the mastermind. And now again, we're in 2021 and you are already hitting these 5K months again. So what do you feel was the biggest reason or key elements that have allowed you to create the comeback that you have?
Just being stubborn and then allowing you to fuel that stubborn nature. So not giving up and then having someone who's got my back and believing in my dream, believing in my vision, and just not giving me the permission to give up, even when I was exhausted and tired. I think that's what I would bring it down to. So, I've said it before and I'll say it again, like I'm really thankful for having you and the support of the other fabulous women across both masterminds. A lot of it is not what the action it is that I took. A lot of it is also taking inspiration from how other people sharing my same journey are doing what they're doing in their business to make things better for themselves. So every time someone shared a win, I felt like it was a personal win. And if it can happen for them, surely it can happen for me. So that helps you refocus and move on. And every time whenever we got onto the implementation calls or whenever we got onto any of the hot seat calls, the problems that everyone was asking you for support with, many times were relevant to me. So a lot of times my questions were answered even before I asked them. And all of that just helps with keeping your focus, keeping your vision broad, and not telling yourself crap stories that can only self-sabotage.
Right. I mean, and self-sabotage creeps into everyone. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially, at this time of the year, it's the new year. People have self-doubt or they're in freak out mode because they've been on holiday for the last 6 weeks. Right. And then they start self-sabotaging a little bit and a little bit more. Again, if you don't face these self-sabotaging behaviors, it's going to keep repeating and keep repeating and keep repeating, both in business and in life. And again, that's it. Your external world is a direct reflection of your internal world. You got to work on it. Now, for those listeners out there, I know you talked about the chance meeting that we had and the opportunity, but though deep down, there was something inside of you that you're like, I have to take this jump. What was it that made you actually take the jump or make the shift to investing in your business? Because so often I hear women, the objections to working with me is, oh, I can't afford you. I can't do this. I can't do this. Blah, 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 blah. Story, right? But the reality of it is when people work with me, my Profit Pillar 12-month accelerator program, it works out to $8 a day. And I'm like, if you can't afford $8 a day to get one-on-one support from me and group support and expert support and monthly mindset coaching, everything like that, business is going to be tough, right? So for you, though, what was it that it was like, I'm making it, I'm going to invest in my business? What was it, that really triggered that for you?
So as far as you're concerned, Angela, I think it's just your energy and your enthusiasm that really speaks to me. But what speaks to me the most about you is how authentic you are. And authenticity is something that I have used as my guiding light. And from experience, I believe that authenticity is directly correlated to trust. And, if you're trustworthy, everything else follows because people feel safe with you. So you were authentic, which helped you build that bridge of trust between you and I. And I always feel safe with you. I know that I don't need to even use my brains if there's advice coming from you, because I know it's coming from the right place. It's coming from a good heart. It's coming from a genuine interest in seeing me succeed. So, and it didn't take me very long to pick that up. It took me just that meeting with you, and you've proven me correct every time. Throughout the year, you've demonstrated to me that, if I've invested in you, I have invested in myself and in my business. And there's just, I think investment is a right word to use. I don't think finding a right business coach and investing in and putting money in business coaching should be looked as an expense. I think if you look at it as an expense, you're working from a place of circumstance, not from a place of vision and focus. As businesswomen, because we wear so many hats, I think it's really important to have the focus, the vision, the belief, and which means that you just cannot allow yourself to be working from a circumstance, because circumstances change all the time. What should not change is your vision. So doing anything that can support that vision is not an expense, but an investment in yourself. And I, hand on heart, will absolutely, if anyone's sitting on the fence out there thinking about, oh my God, I'd really like to work with Angela, should I not? I'd say just get on the discovery call with you and find out for yourself that it's not an expense, it's an investment, and an investment that just keeps giving.
Yep, dude, I love it. I do. I love it. And so what was your all-time favorite part with working with me as a business coach?
I just love how switched on you are. But someone has to be on those hot seat calls where each person on the mastermind gets 15 minutes. Someone could be talking London, and then I'll jump along and talk Tokyo, and you just transition from London to Tokyo in the blink of an eye. Someone could be talking about, okay, I've hit this roadblock in marketing. What do I need to do? And then I'll plod along and I'll say, hey, I'm thinking about, something random. Stock take, they're not related at all. And yet, when I have that 15-minute with you, I have that 15-minute with you. It doesn't matter that the world could be falling apart. There could be bombs going on anywhere. You are present. You are there, and you are there for me. And I love that, you've got this approach where you call people out like that. I love that. You'll call people out as soon as you see that they're telling themselves rubbish stories that they shouldn't be. So you've called me out a few times, and I love that. I think you just ask the right questions. So without telling me what to do, you ask me the questions, which automatically tell me what I should be doing. So all of that together is the package deal that is Angela Henderson that I love.
Now, listen, I have loved absolutely every minute working with you. You're an absolute firecracker. And 2021 is going to be legendary, so
Amen.
Before we wrap up, there's two questions that I want listeners to know is, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out in business?
What I know now, which I did not fully appreciate when I started out in business, was the joyride that I was going to be on. I do not do roller coasters and theme parks, but this business journey, the thrill that it gives me every single day, every single interaction, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram, or working on my, or working with you, or working with other business women, or completing an order, or dispatching an order, it's just full of so much emotion, just so much pleasure, just so much happiness, so much pride. I love it. And, I did not fully, because I came from such a mundane day-to-day life, I'd sort of lost that spark. I just love how much spunk business brings in. And this is something that I did not know back then.
I love it. And business is a joyride. You never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like
Absolutely.
party in your mouth. You never quite know it. Now, listen, for those businesses out there who run events, who run conferences, have ongoing clients that they're onboarding, whatever that looks like, run retreats, sell telephones, whatever that is. And they need some amazing promotional items because you have thousands and thousands to choose from over on your website at Great Creates. Where can people find you and connect with you?
So I am open to connection on a range of platforms. So you can connect with me on my business page, Great Creates, on Facebook and on Instagram. My website is greatcreates.com.au. You can just pick up the phone and give me a call on 1-300-1-GREAT. You can message me, DM me, send me an email on info@greatcreates.com.au. I am pretty quick with responding, and I love to talk to people. If you're stuck about, hey, I need this for a promotion, or if I have this event coming up, or I'm being part of this business retreat or activity or conference, but this is my budget, but I really don't know what I need. Pick up the phone and talk to me. I'll be very happy to guide you through the thousands of products that we have. We've got something suitable to every industry, every budget, every vision. So just reach out.
I love it. And that's what the beauty about working with Ekta is she's going to meet you for where your business is at. So if you prefer to speak on the phone, she's going to speak to you on the phone. If you prefer email, she's going to meet you. And that's her level of customer service. And that's what I appreciated when I had, when I was working with her and continue to work with her on my promotional items that I need, for my stuff also. Now, for the rest of you, it's been a big episode. So don't worry if you weren't able to write everything down with Ekta's links or whatever, because my team and I will be putting together the show notes for this episode at angelahenderson.com.au, and we'll make sure that we include everything over there. Ekta, a huge thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about how you created your comeback in the year that was. And for the rest of you, have a fabulous day, no matter where you are in the world. And if you do need help with creating those 5K months and on to 6 and 7 figure years, make sure to head to angelahenderson.com.au and book a discovery call so we can explore what your business needs are. And lastly, have a great week. And I look forward to you staying connected and being here again for next week's amazing episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. Thanks again, Ekta.
Thanks, Angela.
Thanks for listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson. www.angelahenderson.com.au